Um, I'm gonna skip my intro for this video, guys. This is something that I want to talk about. Um, what is happening with the world right now is crazy. It's insane. This year has been difficult for everybody. And with what happened to George Floyd, is wrong. It shouldn't have happened. I think all four of those police should be prosecuted. I do. He was in. He was being arrested for a counterfeit $20 bill. It's not like it was a huge denomination. It was $20. And with the current situation that we all find ourselves in during this pandemic, I can understand it. I can see where he was coming from. He wanted to protect his family. He wanted to be able to provide food for his family, food for his loved ones. And in the end, that something that small, an act that not in the use of counterfeiting money, but the act of us all being able to go out and buy the necessities that we need for our family is something that we all go out and do on a daily basis, and we never expect not to be able to return home from it. Especially in the way that George Floyd wasn't able to go home to his family. It's sickening. It's wrong. It's just not right. Is the only way I can describe it, you know? As somebody who grew up wanting to be a police officer, who went to school for police, my best friend is a cop in Massachusetts. He is one of the kindest, most caring individuals I've ever met. My buddy, who I've known for over 20 years now, which is insane to think about, his dream of wanting to be able to help people, wanting to be able to prove a positive change within the policing community is still there for him. But as somebody who knows him, I'm sure he doesn't agree with what happened, and I don't think that all police should be looked at in a negative light. I don't. There were these four police officers, former police officers, and rightfully so, that murdered this young man. There's no other way around it. They murdered him. They straight up murdered George Floyd. And I understand police officers have to make split-second decisions, and sometimes they make the wrong ones. And they have to live with that choice when they make the wrong choice, okay? But with what happened with George Floyd wasn't a split-second decision. That cop had his knee in his neck for almost 8 minutes. Almost 4 of those were after he was unconscious. Which is insane to think about. I don't want to say civil rights movement, because I feel like that's not the appropriate term for what's going on right now. I feel like this injustice movement, right? This racial injustice movement that is going on right now has never happened on a scale like this, probably since Martin Luther King, or even during the Rodney King riots. Back in, I believe it was like 94, 93, 94. And I was a young kid then. I was only 5, 6 years old during those. So I don't really remember much of them. But in today's day and age, where we as a society is so genuinely open to people's different way of lives, like how accepting we have become of the trans community as a population, how we've become accepting of the gay community, I don't see how there's still all this racial injustice, how there's still this much racism in the world, how there is actually people that are individually targeting these people. And I know on the face of it, it's very easy to label it as a white police officer killing a black man. Okay? I can see how it's very easy to label it in those terms, but I want us to think about it in these terms, right? I want us to think about it as a very evil individual killing an innocent man. I want it to get to the point to where it's not about race. It's about the fact that this reprehensible person did this to this man who was just trying to provide for his family. Yeah, did he break the law? Yes. He didn't deserve to lose his life for it. He didn't. Those cops were judge, jury, and executioners. And it's wrong. And he should be able to be home with his family right now. I am fully on board with people expressing their anger, people expressing their outrage, people going around and doing what they feel they need to do. And let's not forget that we have been locked in our houses for months. We've missed quite a lot of things due to social distancing and COVID, and having this happen just exacerbates the need for things that need to return to normal. And I'm not saying that because I want to take away from what happened to George Floyd, but it exacerbates the situation. And people are mad. People are angry. People are tired. People are hurt. There's, for all the negative we see in the media, for all the negative about how there's all this hate that is out there in the world, I want y'all to realize that there is good out there. That there is. I saw a video earlier of a sheriff, I believe it was in Flint, Michigan, was walking in peaceful protest. Him and his sheriff's office laid down their weapons and went on a peaceful protest with members of the black community. And not just members of the black community, members of the community as a whole. Which, in a sign of solidarity, I think that is the most important thing that we could have right now, is have our law enforcement officers and people of all color walk together in solidarity stating that this is wrong. This shouldn't have happened. And I can understand people's frustration and outrage at the situation, but the one thing I want to make clear is don't go around destroying your towns, your cities. George Floyd, from what I saw online, posted a video a few hours before his death about wanting to be able to end the cycle of violence. He wants to stop the violence, and this is not the way. Okay? I'm sorry, but it's not. You know, there are ways where we can do it. You know, continue with your peaceful protests. Continue walking hand in hand with your local law enforcement. But stop destroying your towns and cities. I don't think it's what he would want. You know, we finally have a chance to have a voice and make real change in this country, and all everybody is seeing right now is just the negativity, the violence, the vandalism. I don't see how we as a community can effectively make change with a Molotov cocktail in our hand. Because for as much as we were outraged at the violence that was shown towards George Floyd, remember that when you go out there throwing rocks, throwing Molotov cocktails, destroying homes, destroying businesses, these are people that are just trying to live their life. These are people that just want to get up and go to work. There's one word in all this I feel that we as a country have lost, and that's innocence. There's a certain kind of innocence that has been taken away from all this. There's a certain kind of innocence that has been stripped from the very fabric of what makes us as a country so great to live in, because we're allowed to peacefully assemble. We're allowed to peacefully protest. We're allowed as an individual and as a community to speak up against injustice. And every Molotov that leaves somebody's hands, every rock that flies out of somebody's hands, every destroyed Target or Walmart or every burned car cart is us slowly throwing away a piece of our innocence. That is us as a community saying, violence just begets violence. And I know I'm on the outside looking in. I don't know George Floyd. I'm from New Hampshire. You know, like, I grew up in Massachusetts. And I'm not an African American man. You know, I don't know the hardships of being a part of a persecuted people. I don't. So, but what I do know is I'm an American. And I have African American friends that are just that. American. And I know that they wouldn't want the riots. They would want the peacefulness, the coming together, the ability for us to stand hand in hand and say, this is not right, this is wrong, and this needs to change. And I don't think that what is going on currently is the right way to do that. This is a trying time for everybody. This year has just been insane. It's been one giant blow after another. And I don't know, it's just, I want us as a country to be able to get to a point where it's not about race. Where we can sit there and go, yeah, this terrible, evil, disgusting thing has happened, but it was done by a cop who straight up murdered somebody, who killed an innocent man. I don't want it to be about a white cop killing a black man. And I know in the time we're at right now, that won't happen. Because in that video, with him sitting on George Floyd's neck at that point, that was a white cop killing a black man. That was racism with action. That video spoke more about the racism problem here in this country than I think anybody would ever be able to say in words. I want all of us to understand that, yes, there's a problem with some things that are going on here, but they can get better. If we work together, if we come together as a community, if we show some solidarity, if we show that we can do this without violence. I'm sure people want to be able to, especially, I don't have any kids right now, and I do want kids. I want to be able to get married, I want to be able to have kids. But when my future kids grow up and they hear about this time, I don't want them to grow up and hear about the riots. I want them to grow up and hear about the real change that our community, our generation has effectively made. I want us to be able to sit here and say that we as a people did the right thing. I want us to be able to go to bed at night and then be able to sit here and tell ourselves that, hey, we did the right thing by George Floyd. I want George Floyd's family to look around at the communities that have come together in protests and in peaceful protests, and I want the Floyd family, with their sorrow, to also be thankful. I want them to know that we as a community can carry on George Floyd's memory of stopping the violence, of ending the hurt, of ending the social injustice, of ending social inequality, of being able to stand hand in hand with the people who live next to you. I want us to show George Floyd's family that we are stronger than color, we are stronger than race, we are stronger than age, we are stronger than everything that handicaps us. Because as somebody who is on the outside looking in, who has not been a part of any of the protests, who has been trying to stay away from this situation, because it is a very, very delicate situation for everybody. As somebody who has been trying to avoid this situation, I feel as if I can't anymore, because people's lives are getting uprooted. Not just George Floyd's, not just for the police officers that murdered him, not just for George Floyd's family, but now communities are being uprooted. There are some towns and cities and states that are one step below martial law right now. And I don't think George Floyd and his family would want that. For those of you out there that are peacefully protesting, that are walking around with your signs, that are holding hands in solidarity with your friends, your family, your loved ones, keep doing it. Keep protesting. Keep saying that you will not stand for the injustice. Keep doing it peacefully and realize that the world is behind you, the country is behind you, and that change will happen eventually. Because for the first time in almost, 60 years? Since Martin Luther King walked the streets in protest, has there ever been a national outcry against racial inequality? For those of you that want to go out and destroy our towns and our cities, you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. You are going against everything that young man died for. And I don't think you should take that without realizing it. I want you to fully understand that when every time you go out there, every stone that is cast, every Molotov cocktail that is thrown, you are throwing it in defiance of George Floyd's name. For the police officers that are out there on our streets every day that are protecting us, know that there are some of us out here that are still behind you to make the right decisions and to do the right thing and to protect and serve and keep us safe. That the actions of 4 cowardly individuals, 4 sick individuals, are not representative of all police in this country. To my best friend who is on a police force currently, he is one of the most nicest people I've ever met. He holds himself with an integrity and a standard to be able to help people no matter what the situation is. If this video happens to get to the Floyd family, if they happen to see this, which I highly doubt they will because my channel is super small, but on the off chance they do see this, to the Floyd family, my heart goes out to you. You have my sympathies. You have my condolences. I know that no matter the words that I say or is going to give you George Floyd back, and it's heartbreaking knowing that there's nothing that I as a single individual can do to give you back something that can never be brought back. The Floyd family, I want them to know that I, Paul Cullinane, stand in solidarity with everybody who is out there protesting in George Floyd's name, who is peacefully protesting in George Floyd's name. That I stand here and say that Black lives matter, all lives matter, and social injustice and racial inequality need to stop. And if now's not the time, then when? Because now is the perfect time for these things to change. Guys, my name is Paul. Thank you for listening. I know this video went a little long, but I wanted to say thank you for listening. And to everybody who is out there walking and protesting, please, I love you all. Be safe. And, rest in peace, George Floyd. Keep him in our memories. Okay? Thanks, guys.